And a pleasant morning, everybody. Welcome to
Good
Pattison
morning.
Ave Phanatics
Good morning.
Show. That's hard to believe that we're back in the saddle again on the Saturday morning. I am James Scorza, filling in for TK once again this week. With me, as always, is the group of companions on this ringing in the new year, Joey Marks.
That's what happened when we're on prime time 2 times. Good
Yeah,
morning,
really.
Philadelphia.
Yeah, I'm in my play-by-play mode. Damon Celine
Good morning, everybody. Happy New Year to all.
and Frank Finnegan. Good morning, everybody.
Happy New Year to all, and boy, it's good to be back at the Breakfast Club.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We got a lot to
Yeah,
get to
the
today.
last time we met, we were at the dinner club.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, those were the days, man. Those were the days. I mean, it was like deja vu all over again. Me and Joey can relate.
Yep.
We got a lot to get to today. The Flyers are on a winning streak. Eagles are going to try to put the NFC East and the 1 seed to bed. And the Sixers, I said, were dominant, but then last night was a little bit cause for concern. But before we get started today, I want to say my sincere. This week was a little bit of a, I guess you could say, a very I guess a touching moment that we found out about DeMar Hamlin during the week, that it looked like he was not gonna survive, and I guess the one thing that makes it even more possible that he is able to be moving around, and also I heard yesterday that he has the tube removed from, and also talking to his teammates. So just want to say my heartfelt wishes, and hopefully he comes out of it with a full and speedy recovery, as hopefully he can just be back to get back to his normal life again. But Joey,
Yeah, I wasn't watching the game, but
yeah,
when my wife
hmm
got a notification about it,
hmm
and a lot like others,
yeah,
when I heard that he had to have CPR,
right,
that's when I felt like something like horrible had
hmm
happened. Like he didn't make it.
yeah, that's what I
And
thought too.
to be honest, like I've heard nothing but good things. This kid's from
hmm
Pittsburgh.
He's a fighter,
Um
man.
he's a native Pennsylvanian.
Hmm
Like this is a guy that, goes to work. He was a
hmm
low round draft pick. He had a lot to prove. He's already proven it. He's a starter for one of the better defenses in the NFL. You got to have a lot of heart, and no pun intended, to be able to continue to be resilient despite what happened. And I'm so happy because it could have gone so many different ways. I am so happy that he's turning the corner. He's out of, being on oxygen. He's out of being intubated. Our prayers are with the Hamlin family. The first thing I really honestly thought about was, and no offense to him, to
hmm
Damar, but I thought about the mother. I
Yeah,
thought about the parents,
hmm
because you see your child playing a game he loves, and then you see that happen. That has to be a traumatic situation, and I'm sure they're elated that he's getting better.
yeah.
Uh,
I guess I can
I see it.
go ahead, Frank.
I it sports is our great escape from life.
Hmm
Uh,
Yeah,
we all struggle in life. We all have our ups and downs, and um,
hmm
this is the place where we get our release. This is a place where we can relax and go, okay, the world can go away for a little bit, and then something like that happens, and you realize, you know what, the world isn't going anywhere, and
right.
we're only here for as much time as we're allowed to breathe. And for a while there, that guy was not allowed to breathe, and it's a scary thing, and it grounds you. Uh, to just let
Yep.
you know in perspective what life is all about. And I'm so happy to know that he's going to make a full recovery. The doctors totally believe he's going to make a full recovery. All
Yeah.
his
Yep.
cognitive responses are what should be normal. And
Yeah.
the you see the love that he's gotten from his toy donations. Like
Yeah, that's
before he was injured,
amazing.
I think there was like $25,000 or $30,000, and it's now over like $6 million. People are just getting that money's not going to him. That's going to his charity.
Yeah,
You know? And
he's
that's
got a
amazing.
lot.
That's amazing that people
That's simply
respond.
amazing.
And it also
Yeah.
to chime in on that, Frank, that charity, he didn't even set that charity up once he became an NFL player. He set that up in college. He that was
set it up a long time
mission.
ago.
Yeah, that was a mission of his for a while,
Mhm.
and it was kind of like his pet project. And you know,
Wait
I
till
said
he
this
wait till he goes on his website.
yeah,
and sees
that's
the
what I was
numbers.
saying to
Yeah,
Sarah.
it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be
I was
surreal.
saying to
Need
my
another
wife, I'm like,
defibrillator.
he's gonna wake up and he's gonna someone's gonna show him the GoFundMe and he's gonna
Yeah.
go,
Yeah.
what happened?
Right.
People cared.
I love
People cared
I
about
love
you.
that the first question. I love that the first question he asked was, "Did we win the game?"
Yeah.
The first
That's a competitor.
first question
That's
he
a
asked is,
competitor.
Yeah.
and you know what the doctor said? Yeah, you won the game of life, son. You won the game of life.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Dame, do you have anything to add or?
Oh yeah, no, I was actually I just, as you guys know, I was in Key West, Florida with my wife because her birthday was January 2nd. So we left on New Year's, and that day, which was that Monday, we were out celebrating her birthday while we were down there. And I got a text from a good friend of mine. He's like, "Are you watching Monday Night Football?" And I said, "Nah," and he never got back to me. And so I'm thinking the score getting run up, or like the Bills are getting blown out. I knew they were playing the Bengals, So I get back to the hotel and I turn on the TV and I'm like, oh my God. At that point, I hadn't seen the play because they weren't running it, obviously, and they were just talking about it. And then I think the next day is when I was able to go on YouTube to see it, and I was just like, wow, man. But I made a prayer for him. I'm each day things are getting better, and I just salute those the first sponsors, man, because they said apparently, Joe, I think they said his heart stopped twice, and I know because my mother-in-law's right now not in a good state. She had a cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
Then I was just gonna say cardiac arrest is worse than a
Yeah.
heart attack, and so they got to him immediately, and then like you said, like I know they said they had to revive him like twice, man. So
yeah, once in the on the field, once in the ambulance. He was down the first time for 11 or 12 minutes, and the second time he was down for 7 to 8. And I think that was one of the reasons, and Frank brought this up about the cognitive response. The big concern, as much as everyone might think, well, it's the heart, obviously, but once you get the heart going, if the oxygen has been deprived from the brain for too long, it's a non-starter. Yeah,
and they said all his nerves were intact. I was like, wow, that's
he's communicating. They ran through the gamut of cognitive tests. Now listen, my dad had a lot of heart issues. He never had cardiac arrest, but when my dad had a heart attack the one time, he had blacked out. One of the things when he went into the hospital and they were evaluating him was the cognitive test. Now, what they do is they keep you there for at least 72 hours, but if not longer. And they evaluate your cognitive ability several times. So, he's passing the cognitive test. And look, I fully expect him to continue to pass it. But, they're going to check all the boxes, dot all the I's, cross all the T's. And as well they should. And, there's a lot of prayers going that way.
Before I go any further, I want to just issue my like state of opinion. So basically, I'm still dealing with that in my own family's sake. That like about 11 months ago, that a close family of mine suffered a cardiac arrest, and we wish the same thing happened with Damar Hamlin that happened with her, and it's sad. It's sad to think that's
what I said. That brings you back. That kind of a moment brings you back.
Yeah,
who you are,
surreal
grounds
for
you as a human being.
Months, man.
Yeah,
it's been really sad. 11 months, but hopefully we have some better days coming in our family ahead. But just wanted
Same
to get
here.
that out.
You know, I just lost
that
my
out there.
dad. You know.
Yep.
Yeah,
So,
man.
it's-
My mother-in-law's had a cardiac arrest December 12th of 2021.
Oh wow.
So she's still in that you know that state of not being able to function. But you know,
Yeah,
I actually have to go.
she's basically a vegetable too, like you said, Dane.
Yeah, it's like this 24-hour care. You know, it's just rough. But I have to go to a funeral today, and then I found out another friend of mine just passed away last night, man. So take care of yours, and he's around my age. So yeah, man, take care of ourselves, man, and try. You know, this is an outlet. You know, no
cherish every moment.
Yeah, man, because this thing is like cats are popping off right before me, and it's just like wow, you know. So one of my students asked me a question. They said, "Mr. Salim, do you think he's going to play football again?" I said, "No, I doubt it." I said, "They'll probably give him a coaching job somewhere, a scouting job, or." And they said now, and you look at the play when T.Y. went into his chest. Frank, you remember those days? You were probably their uncle because my uncle used to bust me in my chest, right? And so I'm equating that to about 100,000, the amount of pressure that he impacted, you know, to make his heart skip a beat. You know, that's so.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into our escape and our outlets because you know we give our prayers to the Hamlin family.
Yep.
But I'm sure that the Hamlin family is wanting to have sports world turn once again. Your Philadelphia Flyers are doing well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm astonished. I had to start the show this way because I don't know if this is ever going to happen again this season, quite frankly. So you might as well take advantage when it is happening and when it's news.
Yeah.
So, James, I will throw it to the Flyers analyst specialist in you. What do you attribute to this winning streak?
I mean, I started to watch them around the holidays because there was nothing else to watch, and I think it was like probably like late games when they were playing. And I was like, and I think the San Jose game was like, oh, they came back to life. Okay, they won in overtime, but it was actually a pretty good win by them. And then they started to win games in Anaheim, and I think they won one in LA too. And then the Coyotes game. I mean, the first game. I mean, the Coyotes game, when they came back home from that road trip, I was saying to myself, the first period, they look like shit. And I was saying, yeah, I was like saying to myself, okay, they're back to the drawing board. They're back to the where they were. And then after the second period, I'm thinking, whoa, they scored 5 goals without even blinking. I mean, they look like they are a lot better than they are. I think the unit's coming together. I think they're coming around finally. Because like you said, Frank, with the Sixers, like Christmas time is when the season starts for the Sixers, and I think the same thing happens with the Flyers. I think like around after the Winter Classic, that's when the real season begins.
Frank, Damon, have you guys been keeping? Now it's a fair statement because the Flyers have not been good, and I know regardless, James keeps up because he's our Flyers specialist.
Right.
But have you guys been keeping up with any of the Flyers?
One bit of attention to the Flyers.
Well, just because I'm in the sports listening radio talk world, and this I do, but I know that they are like 9 or 10 points out of a playoff position. So I don't know, and so right, James. So I don't know where the embedded Flyer fan feels about that in terms of wanting them to make the playoffs.
Well, God bless them.
Obviously, let me just say, as a sportsman, I would want them to make the playoffs just because it makes for a better city, right? When the Flyers are in the playoffs, when the Sixers during that time, that's what I grew up on. I grew up on all of that, so I don't ever want that to go away. But I know it doesn't happen like that every year. So for me, and then the other part is, do they get a good player out of the draft? But man, like they may have a player connected, you know, I mispronounced the one guy who's the good defenseman that they have. I can't get his name out, but
Provorov,
thank you. And so, you know, they may have a star. They need at least 2 stars, you know. So, I mean, do I want them to tank? No, I don't. I want them to be relevant, and so maybe this is a start of it. But yeah, I do. I'm aware, James, that they actually have a shot. I mean, Joey and James to get in. So, you know.
Well, I'll ask this, James. So, and I
Sure.
kind of think I already know the answer, but
What-
is this the turning point for the Flyers?
Yeah, I would say yeah, but honestly, things could change without even blinking. I
Are
mean,
you jumping on the Flyers train? The Flyers?
not yet,
play-
not
okay.
not yet, Joe.
He's at the train station seeing what time the train leaves. He's just checking the schedule. He's just looking at the schedule right now. He hasn't taken out his credit card or his debit card.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the subway train to come.
I got to be honest. I'm still waiting.
I think the Flyers
train.
I think the Flyers train in the maintenance yard.
I'm still waiting for the bus. I'm still waiting for the bus to go to the train station. That's how far behind I am.
Absolutely. Today's show is. I'm sorry, we got to get some commercial reads in today. Today's show is proudly presented by SharysTickets.com. That includes sports, concert, theater. Visit the website www.SharysTickets.com and use the promo code EOP10 on your next concert event, on your next sporting concert and theater event. SharysTickets.com.
Yep. And I mean, so we'll quickly, move on. We'll go to the Sixers. That was our 5 minutes of Flyers.
Wow. That's already over, man. It's like the win.
Kind of like their season. Kind of like their season, James.
Yeah, really.
It's already over.
Right.
Yeah, it's already over.
All good.
So, well, hopefully, if they do continue to turn the corner, we'll be able to talk more. But let's just wait and find out. Let's turn our attention to another team who's in their own ways red hot. The Philadelphia 76ers.
Mm-hmm.
And, to have Tyrese Maxey back, even if it's in a off the bench kind of role, was nice. It was nice to see that he still has a bit of bounce in his step, despite the broken ankle. I wanted to get your guys' take on, first off, last night's game. What was your impression of last night's game, Frank?
Well, I just watched the end of it, and it didn't look good. But they're going to the second game without JoJo. That was a hard call to do that. But I'll tell you what I like about the Sixers right now. They've won 11 of their last 14 games, and they have joy back on the basketball court, and that's what I call Maxey. He's joy. He's unbottled joy when he plays the game, and he's so much fun to watch. And the Sixers can never let that guy leave this town, ever, ever. And I mean, JoJo is just as important, but that guy, you can build a franchise around that kid because he just has that. He has it. And this town they'll be building a statue to him like every other player because he just plays with. I've never seen a player play with unbridled joy like he does. It's just amazing to watch. And I told you that the season really doesn't start till Christmas, and they started cranking it up. And I think as of yesterday, they were 2.5 games out of the number 1 seed.
Yeah, they're right there.
Now, who would have thought that a month ago?
What's your impressions of last night's game?
I noticed James said it was he thought he had some concerns. It was one of those games, man, where they start out, they were up 13, and then all of a sudden, Vukovic starts down low in the post because we went to a small lineup.
That's one guy we should have kept all these years.
I always said that. Yeah. Well, Dougie Collins didn't play him, and which made no sense. And he drafted him, which was whatever. Doug's So that made no sense. But no, I thought. Listen, did I want them to win? No, the Bulls stopped the Nets winning streak of 12 games. We had beaten them 12 games in a row. They ended our 11-game home winning streak. They had lost 8 games in a row in Philly. So my wife, she watches the game. She goes, Levine got off, but she goes, Melton was in foul trouble. I'm like, oh, that's a good point, babe. So I'm going to bring that to the show tomorrow. Because Melton, I don't know if he would have stopped Levine because Levine was just hot last night, but he definitely would have slowed him down. But as far as concerns about it, I don't really have any, because I think streaks are made to be broken. They all right, fine. They beat us. If we were to play them in the first round, we would sweep that team hands down. I have no doubt about it. Moving forward, what I am liking about the team, and I'm liking what Doc is doing. He alluded to it the other night. He's putting the ball when he has Frank's buddy out there, Maxey, Harden, and Melton out there. He's putting the ball in each of their hands to mix it up, and he likes it. So, yeah, man, they're right there. This is what you asked for, to get that run, to get that momentum. Word on the street is that they are looking to bring somebody in. Who, I don't know, but
yeah,
word on the street
we'll
is
get into that.
I have a name for you.
We'll get into that a little later.
Okay.
We'll get in that a little later. James, what was your impression of last night's game?
I mean, I think it was probably just like the ebb and flow of the winning streak. I think one of these games you're gonna probably have to lose eventually, and I guess the Bulls were just in a way that that they were just a better team. I mean, Levine. I mean, I saw on the caption last night when I came home from the bar. I was hanging out with a couple buddies of mine to see a buddy of mine's gig, and I think Levine had like 11 3-pointers last night.
He was sick.
And it was just couldn't be stopped. You know,
he was sick.
Everything
was going in, James.
That is a big issue that I have about this team, and I feel like I've been a broken record a little bit this season with saying this, and that is the lack of perimeter defense for this 76ers is atrocious.
Mm-hmm.
And for having perimeter defense, you don't need to have a guy like Joel Embiid on the floor. You have to have guys that are willing to man up and get hands and face. I mean, it goes back to AAU ball. It goes back to high school ball, where your coach is yelling from the sidelines, hands up, hands up, hands up. And these guys aren't doing that, and they're professionals. And I go back to the idea that Levine had 11 3-pointers. Just a couple days ago, CJ McCollum had 11 3-pointers. But that's a microcosm of the problems, because Corey White also had about 6 3-pointers last night too.
Who? I'm sorry, who?
Yeah, exactly. A guy from off their bench had 6 3-pointers. I mean, this is a team right now that if you can't stop the 3-point shot, someone like Atlanta, someone like Cleveland, someone like Boston, who can beat you in both ways, is basically you're writing the blueprint on how they should beat you, how they should come in and beat you.
Well, look at Donovan Mitchell. I mean, when he comes in, he'll probably pull a Kobe Bryant and break Kobe Bryant's record. He had 71 a couple nights.
Yeah,
So you mentioned that, Joe. You said that it happened with McCollum. So then those games thereafter, did it happen as much? I mean, I hear what you're saying with that, and they talked about that last night. But you do need a Joel Embiid back there, Joe. I disagree with you with that. You need a guy who anchors that particular defense with this unit that can offset that, because now if I'm Harden, and let's go back to something. So you question the perimeter defense, but then the other night against the Pacers, you saw where they literally locked down. Harden steps in and gets a huge block after missing 2 free throws. So when you say that it's not there, it's there. It's a matter of them learning to trust it even more. But I disagree when you say that it's not there. It's there, but can it be more consistent? Absolutely. But I don't think it's a open and shut case to say because McCollum dropped that, because Levine dropped that's a constant problem when you don't have your anchor back there who can at least tame some of that. That's huge.
I mean, my point of view is this with your Pacers point is I look at like the shooters that the Pacers have, and I look at the shooters that the Pelicans and the Bulls have. I mean, the Bulls themselves have been playing down to the poor teams, and they've been playing up to the good teams. So they're currently, after last night, they are 9-1 against the top 5 in the East, against Brooklyn, Boston, the Bucks, and us. They're 9-1 on the season against good teams, and they have lost to teams like Houston. This is my point of view, is that when you are giving up 11 3-pointers just to one man alone, there has to be a defensive adjustment. And if there's not, I I can't sign off that that's okay. I can't sign off that it's a day-to-day, game-to-game situation when there should be consistency. That is something. Now, look, I understand Joel being an anchor down in the key. That's fine. But when you're talking about perimeter defense, you're talking about face up, face guarding play that consists of guys like Tyrese Maxey, Melton, Harden, Tobias Harris. Last night, DeMar DeRozan was going off, and they had to switch Toby onto him because he was owning the guy that was guarding him.
Yeah, but they only finished with 12 points, Joe. They shut. Like, I hear you with that, but it's like, I think you're magnifying it because those guys went off, and you're not wrong to say that they could have defended it better. But to say it's not happening night after night, like they're still sucking.
It happened 2 nights. It happened two times in 7 nights.
And so, what's the name? Dropped 71. Like, there's going to be nights when the guy's going to get off. Do we like it happening to us? No, but I'm not going to sit up here and be like, oh my, I'm worried about that. When I know that watching this team, I've seen what they can do. So to your point, let me say this: when Joe's back there, now I can extend that perimeter defense. I can go out a little further and trust that someone's back there. Now, I will say this: the problem I have with the Sixers overall last night, I thought they shot too many threes as a team. I didn't see enough attacking to the basket from them as a unit. But I mean,
I'll take
he dropped 41 on us. The next time he'll drop 16.
I'll take one step further with this perimeter defense, Dame. This is not just a new problem. This has been a problem. Because if you go back to the Miami Heat series, that you have guys that were not starters, that were coming off the bench and lighting it up from 3-point range. And not like a lot. And this is the thing. If you are in a league like the NBA is right now, where the 3-point shot is just a regular, runabout shot, it's the go-to. You got guys trying to shoot it from the logo. And you guys, so there is this perspective. If you can't clamp down and adjust from the perimeter, think about this. If the Sixers would have stopped half of Levine or half of the Bulls' 3-point shots, or a quarter of the team's 3-point shots, they would have won that game last night. I mean, that's not asking a lot, at least in my mind. It's not.
Harden shot 2 for whatever he shot, so that didn't help either.
Well,
Joe,
he shot 4 for.
Harden and Maxey are not known for their defensive prowess on the perimeter.
I know.
I think this shows a bigger need that the Sixers have had for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
For a true point guard. A true point guard.
Well,
Because
that might
a true
segue.
point guard. Go ahead.
That might segue, because I think I know where you're going, but that might segue me into my next question, is that we're a month away from the trade deadline. Do you guys see, and I'll turn it to Frank because I think that's where he's going, do you see Morey making any moves going forward before the trade deadline?
Yeah, I heard a name this week that I almost ran my truck off the road when I heard it. Markelle Fultz.
Oh, you heard that on Cousin's show?
Oh,
yeah,
God.
Yeah.
God help.
I was like, what?
I was on stock too.
I know, but I went and looked at his numbers. He's playing really good ball right now.
He can't play here.
Maybe he's fixed that hitch in his giddy up, huh?
Can't play here.
It's gonna ride.
Can't play here.
Yeah, you're.
Can't handle it. He cannot handle it. He's fine in Florida. I just left Florida. It's laid back. It's easy. When you interview these guys, you have to allow them to see how this fan base is. I mean, what Joey's saying is valid. Like, people look at every nook and cranny. They just do. Yep. So if you can't handle it, I don't need you there. And so no, I don't want him here.
It won't be the next Ish Smith, like
No.
where he leaves and
I
comes
like this.
back.
And you know
I like-
what? He handled it.
Yeah.
I'd take him before I would take Fultz because he was, and he's playing for Denver right now. Good for Ish Smith. Good for him. He has got a job.
Yeah,
Mike
Lorio
Loro's,
Yeah, I was gonna say
Right,
Mike Lorio. What's
Mike Lorio,
I just
dude,
need
are
to-
you Mike Lorio? Excuse me. If we trade Joel Embiid, we will literally be back in the lottery. That makes no sense.
You just woke up to
Zero.
be still,
Well,
Mike.
Dame,
No, dude, like that.
Dame,
cross
don't
me.
get upset. Dame, don't get upset.
Christ.
If Mike Lorio wants to trade Embiid, Mike Lorio has to tell us what we're going to get back for him because there's no equal value trade out there for Joel Embiid.
I don't need a
Zero.
draft pick for 20, 31, and 32 and 33. That doesn't exist to me right now. We will be back in the lottery, people. He's not your problem. I'm done. I'm done with about Joel. If you know what? I'm serious. If you can't see it, I'm done explaining it to you. I'm done. I am done. I mean that.
Wow.
Done.
I don't know how to move on.
I'm not going to walk
from...
off the show. I'm not doing that.
Right. But that's why there was a pause.
Snowy agrees with you on that comment, Dame. He says he's got to ride with Embiid.
Listen, and I'll back up Dame in this perspective. I know I rode Embiid pretty hard, and like I said, he listens to the show and he's trying to prove me wrong. I understand. And, I get.
Who's
the
this Mike Lorio guy? I can't stand him.
Yeah, tell the redhead to stop. But I actually also have to applaud Dame because he stuck to his guns about someone else who's really kind of stepping up, and I have to give him a lot of kudos, and that's Toby. I gotta say, when I was kind of railing on Toby earlier, Dame, I never wanted or expected him to be like the superstar. Like, I don't want it to be misconceived that that's what my expectations were. My expectations are what he's showing now, that he's in his lane, that he's getting his, and he's contributing, and he's a big contributor. He was one of the top contributors last night. And so that's what I want. I don't need him to be the guy. I just need him to be the guy to the guy to the guy.
Right.
and I just
he's got to be that option.
Right. I don't want him to be invisible when a guy like Embiid, Maxey, and Harden on the floor. I wanted to dive into that a little bit, but before I do, Dame, I wanted to get your opinion. What do you think Morey might do before the trade deadline? Anything? Nothing? Something?
No, I'm reading some things that we have. First of all, there's a spot that's open. They haven't brought anyone up from the G League. I'm either looking at another point guard to Frank's point, or another. I want a pure shooter, just somebody who's just going to come in, give him the ball, and let it fly. And we have that in the end because he's been playing well. But I think another deadly shooter can't hurt you in the playoffs. So I do expect him to make a move.
George Niang hit his 500th three-pointer last night.
Him,
so
man.
that's
Has he been around that long? It doesn't seem like it.
It came out of Iowa from Utah.
It was an Iowa Cyclone.
Wow.
No, listen, man. I have to say it's a fun team to watch. I'm enjoying the movement of the ball, and I just want them to be in the mix. Yeah. Listen, we could talk about this from now to April, but they have to get out of the second round, and that's for me as well. I will not be happy if they're not out the set. I would be crushed. So
I will tell you who I'm going to actually ask James first, and then I'll tell you guys who I think they should get. Yeah. James, do you think Morey's going to make a move? We're a month out, so there's going to be those rumor mills are going to start kicking up really intense.
And real quick, we got money. We got money for a buyout too. We can pay for some money for a buyout too.
Yeah. I don't know necessarily if he's going to make a big splash. I think probably like a little big move. I mean, I don't know who's out there that's going to be like, yeah, I want that guy on our team. Yeah. I don't know, honestly. I think it's probably the safe bet that he probably will get like a bench piece probably for the better of the team. But I don't know what Morey would do. Honestly, I think we'll be okay where we are. I think the one thing that we just lack is just Embiid's
Presence.
healthy ability. But that happens with every team. So I mean,
Well-
like I said, I don't know. I don't know what. Like if there's like I said, if there's like somebody out there that's like, oh, I need to get him, then definitely. But I don't think there's any big moves for him.
I'm not sure if there's big moves, but I think there's, significant acquisitions that are out
I
there.
like that.
One could be, and I've been hearing this name aligned with the Sixers for a while, and it could happen. Patrick Beverly.
I don't want him actually. He's a little bit of a head case. He's a little bit of a
Yeah, but James, I hear you.
I understand that. I mean, you're
I
not
hear
wrong.
you, but the guy, he's got a way to get under. Look, we had brought up a couple.
I would rather
times
get
on this
Draymond Green, honestly, and just
Well, that's
at least
not
he
gonna
punches
happen.
somebody. when
That's
he
not going to
needs
happen. Golden State, like, listen, they will let go of everybody else and keep those.
But
big
Draymond
three.
Green.
They will, but I will go. I hear you about his a little bit of
Whatever, I don't know what I'm gonna see,
temperament.
man.
But this is a guy that could be like the Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
He could get under the skin of the opponent. Between
True.
him and PJ Tucker, I mean, you want to talk about bad boys? I'm
Yeah.
like, they would literally be like the DX to the NBA. It would be like
Oh,
the Shawn
jeez.
Michaels and Triple H.
Oh man.
But so I feel like it could be someone like him. I also feel like it could be because I feel like Furkan Korkmaz has played himself out of a job.
Who?
And
I haven't seen him in
point.
weeks. Is he still on the squad?
He is,
I haven't seen him.
I haven't seen him.
but that's why I
He's-
feel the way I
He's
do.
been carrying a towel bag.
Right, but
He's
that's
a-
the way I feel the
He's
way
a
that
towel
I do.
boy.
Because why are you going to hold that asset when you could
Don't forget to bring
easily
a towel.
get rid of it? Now, I also feel like, and I'll raise this, Montrezl Harrell,
Mm-hmm.
he's lightening it up, but he's only on a 1-year deal, I believe.
No, I think they got him a two years with a 3rd-year
deal?
option. Yeah.
My feeling is this: with how good his stock is now, do you package him and go get like a certifiable big to help Embiid with the? Because James brought this up prior to the show last night. One of their biggest flaws was the rebounding. If you can get someone to help Embiid with rebounding,
I agree.
that would
I
be,
agree.
and I'm the certifiable. And
Yeah.
you've said this too before, Dame.
Yeah.
We have a Drummond, Mr. Andre Drummond.
He was in the building last night.
Yep.
But he signed a multi-year deal with the Bulls.
Yeah.
So they need someone to help rebound. They need I'm still looking at Carmelo, man. I don't know why. I don't know why no one's picked him up. I don't know if his legs are not there, Frank. I just see him coming in.
He's a shot fighter, dude.
6 minutes, a half, not even that much, 4 minutes a half, knocking it down
He's
down.
Dame, he's a shot fighter, man. He's a shot fighter.
Yeah, absolutely. Today's show is proudly again sponsored by David Archeri Esquire, Workers' Compensation.
Speaking of
Hold on.
shots,
Speaking of shots,
you
if
got
need to-
shot and you have personal injury.
If you have personal injury, give David Archeri a call. It's Workers' Comp, motor vehicle accidents, posted criminal law. Give him a call at 610-565-0300. David Archeri Esquire and Tom EOP and Pattison Avenue and set you, I guess.
But I want to wrap up. But the questions for the Sixers with this, there was a stat that I had heard last night that the big three and the big three on the Sixers, and it's amazing, but it's true. The big three for the Sixers are Maxey, Harden, and Embiid. It should be Harden, Tobias, and Embiid, but it's Maxey, Harden, and Embiid. They've only played 8 total games out of 38 games this season. They've only played 8 together.
Wow.
Yeah, that's real. I heard that too. That's not good.
So my question, they combined, all of them have missed a total of 44 games. So my question to you guys is we talk about continuity, we talk
Mhm.
about chemistry, and we talk about them getting out of the second round.
Mhm.
Does this lack of, experience with each other on the court together, is that going to catch up to them in the playoffs? Dame?
No,
It's a good question. I don't know. So let me try to raise. So the other night the Clippers were playing. I forgot. I was watching on TNT. They got blown out. I think it was Denver. Whatever they were playing. But not DeRozan. Paul George and Kawhi. They're in and out of the lineup. And my man from TNT. I can't remember. Kenny raised a good
Charles
point
Barkley?
saying, yeah. But Kenny Smith raised a good point by saying that what's going to happen with them is because they haven't played together, by the time they start playing together, teams are going to be wrestling teams and they won't be, ready for the playoffs. So to your point about the Sixers, I don't know, Joey. I mean, I'm expecting Embiid to be back tomorrow or Tuesday. They're saying it's not serious. They just want to just rest it to get it right, whatever. So, he's been playing back to back. So I think once they get in there, they'll catch a rhythm. But we'll find out. We'll find out. I don't know. I hope not. I hope.
I don't think it's going to be an issue because I think there's plenty of time to get it together before the playoffs start. It's not like they were dogging their injuries. They had some serious injuries. I mean, Maxey had a serious injury. Harden had a serious injury, and I don't know.
Well, I'm not
what's up with
questioning the injuries. I'm not questioning.
But I'm not.
But just questioning continuity. I got you, Joe.
I'm more concerned. I'm more concerned with what's going on with Embiid's foot. Why they're not saying a whole hell of a lot about it, because that's going to be a problem down the road. I mean, somebody said he was walking around in a walking boot. What is that? What's up with that? I mean, I'm more worried about that. I'm more worried about what they're not telling us than their play on the floor. I think they know how to play with each other by this point on the floor, so I'm not worried about that.
James?
Yeah, I agree with right there what you said there, Frank. I think that's exactly how I can put out of it. I guess you can. I think the one thing you should do with Embiid is rest him for the weekend. I mean, you got Detroit playing. They play Detroit tomorrow, so basically you could say it's like what did Doc say like last year that it's like a guaranteed win or a guaranteed loss or something without Embiid. I forget how he put it, but I think with
schedule loss.
Schedule loss. Hope not. Yeah, that's what it was. A schedule loss, but hopefully it's a schedule win, not a schedule loss.
Don't use that terminology.
I still want. I want to hit him on the bat for that statement. When you say it's a schedule loss, that's just that's just a coach taking a night off. That's as far as I'm concerned. I can't stand that.
If it's a scheduled loss, then don't show up to the arena.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What are we doing?
Just mail it in. Just
exactly.
go to Ruth Chris and have some steaks and wine.
Exactly right.
I mean, listen. I understand the NBA has the MVP not as the most valuable player, but the most valuable participant award. But that doesn't mean that you have to, encourage scheduled losses. Let's just show up to the arena, punch our clock, take the people's money, and leave. Okay? So then when you get ridiculed and ripped, I'm sorry, but you had it coming. Speaking of having it coming, we're going to flip to the Philadelphia Eagles, the NFL's best team this season. Now, they haven't really looked like that recently. And I will bring it up. James, if you would have now picked the Saints this year, you would have been right. The last couple of years, me and James have had.
I know you break my balls. I know.
No. Me and James have had this back and forth about the Saints-Eagles game, and I've been right. and look, James has had valid points on all years, and no one saw the Saints coming out and doing what they did, and no one saw the Eagles punching the clock and taking a participation award.
And it's not like a pro
the
Saints
schedule
either.
loss.
No. You're not. You're not at all. I like, believe me, that those last years when you picked them, I was like, okay, I'm just trying to hear you. And listen, that one year, Jalen's first time going, like, I think it was his debut against the Saints. You said, the Saints had one of the best defenses, and they did. So you no one saw it coming. I was just a big Jalen Hurts guy. So,
I know.
But I want to get everybody's impression of that Saints game, because I'll give you guys mine. I felt like, as much as people wanted to throw Nick Sirianni under the bus, I don't. I don't want to throw him under the bus because, A, he's not play calling. Number two, when you have a quarterback that's not eyes open, ready and locked in, and it was clear that Minshew was not, I don't want that guy out there. I'm yelling at my television, and I'm sure Tom was too, put Ian Book in. Because not only would Ian Book be the ex-Saint, but he'd be the Irish guy we want to put in. But listen, I felt like that game was lost by the lackadaisical offensive coordinator's game plan and the lack of motivation by the offense. I felt like the only person that was really motivated was maybe A.J. Brown. And that's not good enough. 1 out of your 11, that's not good enough. I will throw it to Frank. What was your impressions of the Saints game?
Well, I wouldn't be putting Book in the game. Period. He needs to read more books about football. He needs to read more books about football. I'm sorry, but he's not. He wasn't the answer. No, Minshew. Let me tell you something. Minshew was the right call for the game. Okay. The problem was the coaching staff started to be we're the smartest man in the room. We can beat this team a different way. Well, I'm sorry, but the Saints tell you by their stats that you should run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't run the ball.
Nope.
If Sirianni's looking at Steichen's play calling before the game on Thursday and Friday when they're setting up the game plan, and he's not seeing run, pass, run, pass in the play calling, I'm sorry that he failed at his job this week. Not just him, not just Steichen, but Sirianni too. Okay? And to boot, you let, Gannon plays a stupid zone to start the game, and they get a 9-minute drive on you. It takes your defense completely out of the game for the first half. It takes your what? Yeah, I know. It takes your defense out of the game for the first half. It completely sets your offense missyncs your offense for the first half, because now you have to change up what you're going to do anyway. And what they should have been doing was using that damn offensive line they have and running the ball down the Saints' throats. And they put Minshew in the position to fail. It's the only way I can look at it, because Minshew can't make up for that kind of terrible play calling. He's just not capable of that. That's not his job. They put him in a position to lose, and he lost. He did exactly what they game planned him to do: lose. That game, in my opinion, is all on the coaching staff, and they failed us as fans and the players as players. I'm sorry, but the whole staff was the reason they failed. I gave them an F- for the game.
Ooh, wow. Ooh, wow. Okay. James?
I was holding back.
I
was holding back.
Yeah, I could tell. I don't
blame you, man. I don't blame you. Yeah, but you're not wrong on that stuff, though, there, Frank.
The blown
I think
opportunity.
Yeah. The one thing I took out of that game was basically what you said there, Frank, was spot on. Like the running of the ball, like you have to run the ball on that bad defense, and I didn't even see Miles Sanders a lot in that game. That's the one thing that really bothered me the most. The second thing that bothered me the most was I'm sorry, what Jonathan Gannon said this week about Hassan Reddick, about, well, if he was in, like, if you put him in, like, whatever how he said it. And I was like saying, why did you do that? Like, if, like he said, like, oh, if I put Hassan Reddick in, like, I forget how he put it, but it's like something about,
if I didn't drop him in coverage, you'd have 25 sacks. That's what he said. If I didn't drop him in coverage all year long, you'd have 25 sacks.
That should drive me nuts. That when he said that should drive me crazy. I was like,
well, look,
why did you do that the first time?
Well, see, they're making up for shortcomings. They're making up for shortcomings. That's my
I guess you're scared. I guess you're scared. There's your dog.
I got my dog. That's Snickers. She wants to get in on the show.
What's up, Snickers?
We're
gonna have one later. We're gonna have one later, Snickers.
She's been...
have a Snickers more.
To have respect for your dog, Frank. I am not going to say what I think of Jonathan Gannon.
Yeah,
don't bother. I
feel
good.
We got it. We just heard it. We just heard it.
Look, Gannon has us manic as fans. Okay, because you look at the team, and they have the fourth or fifth most sacks as a team since they started recording sacks in the NFL.
1982.
Yep.
Right. In a 102-year history of football, no team has ever had 4 guys with 10 sacks. And they've done that. Most of the season, they have been playing to between the second and fifth best defense in the league. And where they get you manic is, and a lot of this has to do with the holes they have in the defensive secondary right now. I mean, Maddox being out and CJ being out has really puts a gap in the middle of the field. And luckily we'll get those guys back for the playoffs. But it hit us at the worst time of the year. Okay, it hit us at the end of the season when all we needed was one to win. Now that being said, they were in position to win the Dallas game with Minshew. And as bad as they played this week until the pick six, they were in position to win that game. And actually, they should have won it because that ref blew that holding call on the line. If they score that touchdown, if they get the touchdown there, it's a different game. The Eagles will go and win that game. Well, that terrible call.
Let me go back to what Frank said about the Cowboy game. And they had a chance to win that game. We know that, right?
Yeah.
And that's the problem, Frank. And I'm sorry, Joe. I do blame Sirianni because he sees the game plan. And so I said this to Cuz. I called him while I was down in Florida. So we go to a sports bar. With my luck, I'm surrounded by Giants fans.
Jeez.
And they didn't bother me. They acknowledged I had my Eagles shirt on. They said, "Oh, it's an Eagle fan in here." They were cool. They were cool. And then when Foles gets
did they have yellow underneath the blue?
Yeah. But you figure though, there are a lot of New York moved to Florida, so they're legit. There are a lot of New Yorkers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they they a lot of them. So, but I saw the Foles hit because that TV was right this. And they weren't like gloating. They were, they were respectful. And I went to school with Giants. Giants fans don't really bother me as much, to be honest with you. It's weird. It's because I was in their territory and they knew what I was about. I was literally like living there, But just to see the way we played, and a few things concern me. One, the game plan. It really bothers me, man. Is reinvent the game. It's like if you know this team is last or next defense, you don't have your main guy. Make not only for yourself as a coaching staff, but for your players, right? They could have ran some nice running plays. I know sometimes it takes to run a while to get warmed up. The guy that on intermediate plays, keep it real simple. Now, going back to your boy Gannon, it hurt when those Saints held the ball for 9 minutes. Why? And the team had been on the road for 3 games. Your first game home in a month. Dalton's a stew. In that room, Frank, that week with the defensive line, we're attacking him. We're going to make him feel uncomfortable right from the gate. He's a statue. Meanwhile, he goes 12 for 14, James. How's that
because
possible?
He plays zone. They didn't start. They didn't shut them down. They didn't shut them down in the second half until they went man.
Frank, he plays zone when the middle of the field is in trouble. That makes no sense. You go man to man,
drives me crazy.
or you have those dudes ready to go get
Agreed.
the crowd involved. And guess what? If they missed. But I'd rather go down like that as opposed to giving you those yards back. And then the other thing was, it's 4th and 1, midfield. I'm saying punt the ball. No, you go for it. We don't get it. But here's the caveat, fellas. The defense stopped them. The defense stopped the Saints, and then the next series, we throw the pick. My point is, Stan and this coaching staff has played, called phenomenal games all year. We get that. We get what hurts. But, man, you're right. They put Minshew in a position to look like men do. He did. Like men do last week, man.
He did exactly what they wrote the game plan up to do. They
dropped back
they
33
wrote that
times.
game plan up for him to fail. That's exactly the way they game planned the game. They did it for him to fail. And I mean, they didn't do it on purpose. They thought they were being smarter by half. By doing it, the Saints think we're going to come out and run. No, we're going to pass. We're going to show them. I'm sorry, but their pass defense is really good. Their secondary is really good. I mean, they're not good for no reason. But they can't stop the run. And you got these bulldozers on the offensive line, and you're missing your right tackle. You're missing your right tackle. The hardest thing for a right tackle for any offensive lineman to do is pass protect. Well, why don't you take that guy's worst problem and make it an asset and run?
I would have called the first play of the game. I would have called a right side sweep just to get it going. I don't give a darn if we got 2 yards, 3 yards. I would have just to get it going. The thing that concerns me with the Eagles is these in-game adjustments that they don't make. Meaning, and this is a question for all of you. Understand that they get nervous because the Saints had the ball for 9 minutes and scored. All of a sudden, mind you, it's still the first quarter. All of a sudden, we're playing fours down, and you have a lot of time left. You're at home. It's one score. I know it's 7, whatever, but it's not 7-zip in basketball. It's still a point.
I don't know how
it's equivalent to a point. I don't get that with these guys, man.
I don't know how. I don't know how many. Well, they didn't have that many drives in the first half, but how you start dropping back and pass first down? You got nothing. You got
first time.
Minshew's not capable of doing that.
First time all season that the Eagles went 3 and out 4 straight times. In a game.
4 straight series.
Joey.
4 straight series. And he started every single series with a pass. First play was a pass.
So 3 and out 4 straight series. You're putting your defense behind the 8 ball a lot. And you're wearing them down. And the fact that I give credit not to the coach, but to the skillful of the players. And I'll get into that a little bit more in a couple minutes. I wanted to kind of, because it's like Beetlejuice. You mentioned Gannon's name 3 times, and now I have to go off on the guy. Listen.
If we went off 2.5, you wouldn't have mentioned his name.
No. 3 times.
3 times is the charm.
Yeah, and then this comes out of me.
Now I know the number. We know the over under.
Yeah, well, but let me explain the ineptitude that a guy like Jonathan Gannon shows as a coach. I don't have vision, but I can tell you that a zone doesn't work against a offense that only has 1 viable receiver. You have 2. Last time I checked, I know you're missing Maddox. I know you're missing key pieces in the secondary, but last time I checked, you had 2 really good corners in Bradbury and Darius Slay. Man up, press up. Make them have to be your best players. When you play zone, you're saying, well, I believe in the guy like Josiah Scott. Now, look, I know a lot of people like to throw Josiah under the bus, and I was one of them. However, he made up for things by that interception. So he played okay. But my point is, I don't care if that's the way you feel as a coach, where you have that much confidence. Play to your strengths, not to your weaknesses. Don't let the opponent like see the weakness in your defense and go, well, that's what we're going to exploit. If I was any other quarterback, I would throw on you too. But it infuriates me because,
Well, you know,
and
he coaches out of fear, Joe. You know that, right?
he coaches out of ignorance.
He's afraid. No, he coaches out of fear, and the reason I say he coaches out of fear is because he's afraid of the big play. This is why he starts the game almost every single week in zone.
Okay.
He's afraid.
Third and third. He let the big play happen. He failed.
Yeah, I know.
He let the big play. You know, if you're going to be fearful of the big play, then at least stop it. You know, like if you're going to be that, then at least.
Well, you know what happened on that play. I think.
No, I know. We went over this last week. Yeah. And you had said that he called and Josiah kind of audibled out, and I get it, but dude, I mean, it's not just that, and you have to understand. I think it was like 2nd and 21 or 3rd and 21 against the Saints, and they almost got it, and it's like, okay,
Joe, you got to understand. You got to understand where he's coming from. You know, I mean, he's not like us. He's not built like us. He's just not. But he's built for the game that's being played today. And the game that's being played today is an analytics game. And he is showing the rest of the league who he was applying for a job for. This is the analytics game. And he can walk into an interview and go, here's my numbers. And he wouldn't be wrong.
Joey, I got to say
he's not wrong.
Joey, I have the same reaction.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care that we get upset that he's not aggressive enough. All he cares about is his next job. And his next job, he's going to walk in with a volume of defensive stats that are valid, regardless of how invalid we see it on the field. You know, the guy who.
So I'm going to segue that.
He's right.
I'm going to segue that into my next question, because that is a perfect segue. This team just passed the 89 Eagles for the best, having the most sacks in a season, and they're fourth to the Bears, who have the record at 72, 85 Bears. This team, this defense, when people go, well, how can you fire at Jonathan Gannon? This is why I feel the way that I do, because we talked about it last year. Well, he's not able to do the things he's not able to do the things he wants to do because he doesn't have the skill players. Well, now he does. So now I take it as, okay, when the scheme is really bad, it exposes the coach. But when the players have stats despite the bad scheme, it shows just like it is this season with the Eagles. I feel like the talent on this defense is probably the best it's been in the last 25 years. And that's saying a lot, because, you know, that's including the Trot days and the Dawkins days and stuff like that. That is saying a lot. But this team is proven that they are very talented. He was mugging for the camera a
minute ago.
What's that?
Now you're talking about his dog. Joe, you hitting on some key things. Frank says something that was interesting. He's a play, and you're not wrong, and I see that. However, we've seen the big play. We've gotten towards 3rd and 30, i.e. 3rd and 30. I'm going back to this game now. I'm realizing now that kudos to the defense. They did not give up a point in the second half. But what needed to have happened was the defense needed to set in that game. Why? Because you have a backup quarterback, because you're at home. And I'm thinking if he sets the tone and gets out of this, dude, okay. We've been spoiled, all four of us, in different eras. I mean, for Frank and I, it goes back to the Swamp Park days, to the Buddy Ryan coming in, and then to over when Buddy got fired, and then Jimmy Johnson, right? So we've experienced, and even with Schwartz, I never really liked his defense because we're used
I
to an
hated him.
aggressive type defense, and there's nothing wrong with. Pittsburgh style of defense. The Giants maintains their style of defense, whether or not they're still consistent with it. And all I'm asking for, you have the players that want to be aggressive, Joey. They want to attack, and for you to come up with a game plan that's such, it's like, yeah, man, just
and they have the skills to attack.
Get it?
Like
I know.
That's the difference. Is that we talk about talent, and me and James have gone on this rant several times.
Yep.
Where is Nakobe Dean?
Right.
I get that the other linebackers are playing well, but you got to throw dogs in this fight that are willing to take a bite out of some other dude's ass.
You know, that's the thing too. I mean, I agree 100% what you said there, Joe, is that, like, you know, when Nakobe Dean came out to the Eagles, I'm saying to myself, I was ecstatic. I mean, I was like a kid on Christmas morning, you know, and then out of nowhere, then they don't use him, and I'm like, then what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for somebody to get hurt? I mean, Kazir White looks like shit out there, to say the least. I mean, he looked great in the beginning parts of the season. He did great. I'm not taking away anything he did. But now it's like he's starting to play like horse shit, and I need to see Nakobe Dean now.
There's a reason for that, James. There's a reason why Kazir White looks like he's not playing as well as he was at the beginning of the season. Yeah, CJ's out of the game, and his responsibility.
The guy covered a lot of territory.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah, no, he's you know, with Maddox and CJ out of the game, you know, White has different responsibilities that he's really not equipped for. You know,
Frank, real quick,
it's making him look bad.
That's right.
To cut you off, I would bet had he been there because he played with the Saints, that would have been huge. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes.
That would have been huge.
Well, this is what I wanted to ask. So with the 89 Eagles, and this is I know this is before James's time. So like Frank and Dame, I'll lean to you on this. With the team that we have on this defense, the players that we have on this defense now, with the 89 Eagles who they've passed and the 85 Bears who they're closing in on, does any of these players, because I know it's different errors, but I'm not talking about playing style. I'm just talking about veracity and stats and just, you know, the character. Does anybody on the current Eagles defense remind you of anybody on either of those two defenses? Frank?
You know, Joe, that's a really hard comparison to make because
it is.
We're not talking apples and oranges here as far as player profiles. We're talking apples and BBs. You know, they're just a different animal. I mean, I'll tell you what. Here's players that I think would probably fit well with the 89 team. CJ would fit well with the 89 team. Slay would definitely fit well with the 89 team. And I didn't need a name.
BG would have fit in. And the Grand would have fit in.
BG definitely would fit in with those guys.
And Reddick would have fit in.
Oh yeah. Hassan could fit in with anybody, but they had a Hassan Reddick on that team, and he weighed 65 pounds more, and he was just as fast, and that was Reggie White.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Reg was the man. That team was a different team. There's guys on this team, like, they don't have a linebacker that matched up with B&E. They just don't.
Byron Evans,
they don't have a safety that. Yeah, they don't have a safety that matched up with what Hopkins did. You know, I mean, they just don't. You know, Wes Hopkins and Waters.
You had Clyde Simmons and Jerome Brown, who fed off of what Reggie was doing. Yeah, Joe, it's tough. And Mike Pitts, it's tough because, and then those guys had such an attitude. Oh, forget my bad, Seth Joyner, it's.
I mean, that's why I bring it up.
I can hopefully I can answer this better for you, Joe. They would have taken Gannon's and thrown it down his mouth, and Frank knows what I'm talking about. Seth Joyner would have said, "What the hell did we just do out there?" Seth would have called him out.
If you were reading Seth's tweets this week, that's exactly what he was saying.
It was ugly on the sideline. It would have been ugly on the sideline.
No, he'd have been up in his face. He would have been.
I mean,
everybody
like that. It would have been
Waters
like that.
would have been up in his face.
It would have been like that.
That's
Seth
why I
would have been
kind
up in
of
his
brought.
face.
That's why I
Would've been
kind of
like
brought
that.
up trying to make comparison because
would've got
of the fact that with the '89 team, especially, they played off of each other very well, and I felt like with this team, they play off of each other very, very well. And
Well, look,
there's
Gannon has, Gannon has a lot of shortcomings as a defensive play caller, but when last year they talked about him getting a job with another team. He's definitely going to get a job. He's going to get a head coaching job, and he's going to get it because he's going to walk in and put his I know how you feel, Joe, but he doesn't play your style of defense. He doesn't play my style of defense. But you know whose style of defense he's playing? The NFL's. That's what they want to see. And he's effective at it because he's got the second, third, or fourth rated defense in the league. You can't argue about that. They shut teams down in the second half. They are defensively effective. It's not the way you want it.
Coach, or is that the players?
Well, I mean, of course it's the players too, but he's calling the system. They're playing his system, and they're playing it well. Now, does he have the talent to activate his system? Sure. Last year he didn't. And what happened? No, Howie. I'm sorry, Matt, but Howie went out and got Gannon the talent he needed on that defense, and that's Howie. Howie went and did the job and got him the parts that he needed, because I'm sure at the end of the season, Gannon said, I can't do anything with what I have here. I need more. I need this, 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 and this. And Howie said, okay, here's this, 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 this. Go get it. Go get it, kid. And look how he produced. He's got a top 5 defense in the NFL. They're going to wind up being in the championship game. They are.
Well, I will go into this because on EOP Wednesday, Matty B and Freddie Burns were talking, and I don't know if you caught it, Frank, but Matt blamed Howie for the loss because in Matt's words, Howie did not do enough to put in viable bench players to pick up the slack when the injuries occurred.
Well, a week and a half ago, we had a bomb cyclone, and Matt blamed Howie for the bomb cyclone. I mean, I'm sorry, but as far as I'm concerned, Matt doesn't have any objectivity when it comes to Howie. He whatever Howie did to him in some past life has carried over onto this life. Matt just has abject hate for Howie. He just does. So he doesn't see any of the good that Howie has done.
If I'm reading this correctly, Howie's supposed to pay an astronomical amount of money for a backup to sit on the bench just in case his starter goes down, so that the backup comes in and can do just as good as a job.
No, you're missing the point. No, you're missing the point. If Howie had gone out and spent an astronomical amount of money on a backup and he didn't play, Matt would say Howie wasted money on the backup.
Got you. Okay, now it makes sense. I got it. Yeah, I got it. Makes sense.
Okay.
So
that's just Matty. That's what he said. I mean, he just hates Howie, and he just had to come from that position, and he still hasn't come on the air and said he was wrong, and that's okay. Right. If he wants to be that way, that's fine. It's all right, Matt. I love you. I still love you.
We're gonna go and we're gonna talk about a guy that I know I love, and I know many of people in Philadelphia love, and that's Jalen Hurts. A couple questions.
Let's go.
Number one, do you guys feel like Jalen's gonna play on Sunday, James?
Absolutely.
I think that's the one thing I could take out of it too, is that if Hurts plays, the team wins. That's exactly how I look at it. Is that I know the last couple of weeks, Minshew. I mean, last week was a pure example that we need Jalen Hurts back pronto, and that's how I can take out of it. I think that's the one thing I think if Hurts plays tomorrow, I think I'll feel much better than, I would feel much better if Jalen Hurts will be the guy playing tomorrow for the Eagles and to get the Eagles into the postseason than Gardner Minshew, honestly.
Dame?
I guess.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
word on the street is, I don't know if Frank heard this, that he was chomping at the bit to play against the Cowboys. They said he wanted to play, and medical staff and coaching staff wouldn't clear him, but and so, not only do I think he's going to play, he has to play. I never felt good about him having 2 to 3 weeks off going into a playoff. I think this will be good. You get the score up. Listen, the Giants has already been mentioned. They're not going to play all their starters. There's spot is secured. You go out there, you run your system, you get 21-3 going to the third quarter, whatever it may be, and then you let them rest. But play, you have to get that timing back with those guys, and this is the only way we're going to get in there. And somebody says it's best. Those guys don't go out there thinking like, oh, I'm gonna get hurt, because otherwise you wouldn't have football. So. No, we need him in there, man.
Well, you know what Gardner Minshew did the last 2 weeks?
What did
he convinced Mr. Sims that it's not about the system, it's about the player. And anybody who doesn't think,
oh, you sure? Are you sure?
If anybody who doesn't think that Jalen Hurts is a solid MVP candidate, didn't watch the last 2 weeks of Eagles football. Okay, because he kind of demonstrated that they're not the same team, right? So that being said, he's going to get jobbed out of the MVP because he missed those 2 games. And Mr. Mike Laro said that no, Minshew's going to play. Minshew is not going to play on Sunday.
No, dude.
Well, he may play, but he's not going to play. He's not going to play until the game is out.
Ian Book is second backup now. No, I'm teasing.
Yeah. Don't tease me. Don't tease. Don't. That's not nice. But
that's not nice.
Ian Book is Ian Book is Joey's football version of Mickey Moore or Mickey Moniak. That's what he is.
Mickey Moniak.
Mickey Moniak. Love you, M squared. Love you. But
that's cold.
So my thing is with the MVP. I evaluate MVP as what you've done when you've played, not how many games because now I start to feel like the NFL is reverting to the way that the NBA plays. And it's not a most valuable player, it's a most valuable participant award. And I go, this isn't a participation award. We shouldn't be evaluating guys. If they have enough of a body of work in this season, they should be evaluated for that body of work, period. And for me, it's a matter of if Mahomes has a game or 2 over Hurts, then he should have more stats than Hurts. Then he should have more evaluation on that body of work. That's fine. But if Hurts' body of work is better than Mahomes and Allen, then Hurts ought to get the MVP. And that's just my feeling. And people who were saying prior to the Saints game, Kelly Greenhour was doing it, and I commented and I said, do you think Hurts has a chance for MVP? And they completely thought no. And I get that people are on this, love affair with Patrick Mahomes. I get it. But Jalen Hurts, if you want to talk about, and they don't have it in the NFL, but they do have it in the NBA. I wish they would have it in the NFL. Most improved player. If you don't give Jalen Hurts the MVP, he definitely earns the most improved player this year, without a doubt.
I'm going to chime in. I'm sorry, Dave.
No, go ahead, James. Go ahead.
No, I'm going to chime in and say I don't care if he wins the MVP. Just win the Lombardi. We'll see you on board. Plain and simple.
Yeah, you know what MVP trophy? You know what MVP trophy I want to see him get? MVP the Super Bowl, because that means we're carrying that trophy down Broad Street.
No, and that's fair.
I want.
My question is, and you guys both, Frank and James, I get you. My question would be, and this is not Dame the Eagle fan or Dame the Jalen Hurts fan. I'm just asking, right? So the guy puts up an amazing body of work. To Frank's point, we see what happened when he doesn't play for the past 2 weeks. I'm anticipating him coming back tomorrow and winning the game, and we'll finish 13-3, something like that.
13-4, I think. Right?
14-3. Excuse me.
14-3. I'm sorry.
14-3.
And he throws 2 or 3 touchdowns tomorrow, no picks, boom. So who? Okay, so you say Patrick Mahomes would be
the favorite. He's the
favorite
darling
right
of the MVP race right now.
Yeah, he's the darling.
The pride and joy. That's
so right now it comes down to. So it's Josh Allen in the mix.
It's him, Josh, and Jalen.
And Burrow.
They're the top 3. And Burrow.
Okay,
yeah.
so Burrow.
No,
Burrow. I'm a fan of. That's my guy, but not today, Burrow. No, because he started out slow. His team started out slow. They're just catching on. I don't see anybody. Here's the reason why I believe he should be the MVP. No one expected this. He came out of man, and he's been balling. Right? You kind of expect the Mahomes, the Josh Allens to be there, but it's like no one. And if they tell you they did, bless you, buddy, bless you. If they tell you they did, that's a flat out lie. No one expected that, man. Come on, he should be MVP.
No, and I'm going to tell you something, Dave.
I agree.
And the reason the reason nobody expected that makes him not sexy enough. He's not sexy enough. Mahomes is sexy. You know, I mean that. And Josh Allen is sexy, and Burrow is sexy. They see a guy who came out of nowhere, and they go like, let's see what he does next year. If he does this again next year, then he'll get serious consideration.
They're going to keep moving the carrot. They're going to keep moving the carrot.
Well, that's what they always do. They do it to Embiid in the NBA.
Yeah, well, I'm over it. I'm not. You're right. You're right.
Football fields. Embiid's run four football fields and 4 carrots. You know how many times does he have to score 40 points a game before they go, you know what, this guy's pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
James, when you say
Mike, who are you
no
a
one
fan
saw
of?
this
Mike
coming,
Laurel. What team are you a fan of?
I have no idea. I tuned him out after the Embiid stuff, but go ahead, Joe.
when you said no one saw this coming, I would like to correct you and say I saw it coming because I said in the beginning of the season that Jalen Hurts was going to be a top 5 quarterback in the league.
You did.
And he is most certainly that. And look, did I expect him to be as efficient?
Yeah.
No, but I don't care how you get there. You get to the destination the way you get to the destination. And that's the way that I viewed it. I agree with you that the growth that he's made in comparison to the growth someone like a Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen has made, it's leaps and bounds. I am partial to Jalen Hurts getting MVP, maybe because of my fandom, maybe because of my pride in seeing what I've seen in this kid since he even got drafted. And it's interesting because someone said that I heard this past week, the quarterback factory was a big term used when Jalen Hurts was drafted. The Eagles and the quarterback factory. Well, the only quarterback out of that quarterback factory that's having any success right now is Jalen Hurts. So I think the quarterback factory was a success. If the end result gets you the guy that you can put your money on for the future. I do want to go into, we know the Eagles are going to be in the playoffs. We, however, don't know if they're going to be the 1 or the 5. But out of the NFC,
I said the same, Mike.
What team do you guys fear the most in the NFC in the playoffs? James?
San Francisco.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? I was looking at the comments.
Which team in the NFC do you guys fear the most in the playoffs?
If it depends
I fear
on
San Francisco the most.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I was a little bit obtuse about the 49ers being like who they are, but yeah, I think that's the team that's scary the most out of everybody on
Their
that.
defense is legit, James. Their
Yeah,
defense is
they are.
legit.
They really are. I'll admit to that. I mean, I'll admit. I mean, Purdy kind of scares me a bit too if Kittle's healthy, and even McCaffrey too. Yeah, so I got to go with San Fran, being scary.
Dame.
The Philadelphia Eagles.
That was
The
my second
Philadelphia
guess.
Eagles. And I'm being serious.
Yeah.
We're the only team that could beat us.
Yeah.
We're the only team that can beat us.
Yeah.
And how we beat us is when the coaches don't implement the proper game plan, when Gannon wants to play sticks and we turn the ball over. Aside from that, when we go out and play our game, hey, I get it. You know, San Fran's defensive coordinator used to play for us. I can't get his name out. Ball head. But he's a former Eagle. He's a defensive coordinator.
DeMeco Ryans.
DeMeco Ryans, thank you.
Yep.
And also,
Ryans,
so I get it with their defense. I get it, their 9-game winning streak. But I've just seen enough of this team where I'm convinced. I wasn't convinced week 1, week 2, 3, 4, 4. By week 8, I was like, this is the real deal. We handle our business tomorrow like we're supposed to. We want to get some guys back, and hey man, come through the link, and it's going to be a war. It's going to be a war because one thing about this team that I do appreciate. Now I was going to say one thing about this team that I do appreciate is that they can acknowledge their faults and then somehow lock back in. And when they lock in, it just is like they become ferocious and they start blowing teams out. So maybe this was a blessing in disguise. Maybe these 2 losses is what they needed to kind of get refocused. And I don't care what they say. They listen to the media. We all do. So they needed to get refocused to not worry about having weeks off. Hey, you take care of your business tomorrow. You get your week off, and you go handle your business. Come playoffs. That's it.
Well, here's what I know. Here's what I know about. Here's what I know about the value of tomorrow's game. Since they initiated the seeding in the current playoff position, 96 teams have gotten the number 1 seed. Of the 96 teams that have gotten the number 1 seed, 62 have made the Super Bowl. That means 76% of the time, the team that gets the number 1 seed is playing for the trophy. All right. Now that they've changed the system, and only 1 team gets a bye week, it is so important for the Eagles to win this game tomorrow because that means they only got to play 2 games to get there. And you're right, Dame. The biggest enemy the Eagles have is themselves. If they don't turn the ball over, nobody beats them. If they do ball control, nobody beats them. I don't care who you are. You know,
Okay,
I don't care if you're Kansas City. I don't care if you're Buffalo. It doesn't matter. If the Eagles do not turn the ball over, they win every game. Yeah. It's that simple. They just have that much talent. You know,
Dame kind of stole my thunder. So, I honestly was going to say the same thing because, actually, it's interesting because Daryl Johnson was doing the commentary, and he said very much the same thing. Is like as long as the Eagles don't beat themselves, I don't know any team that really can beat them. And, you know, for an ex-Cowboy to say that, first off, and for second, the idea that
he's always been pretty right. He's always been a pretty good announcer.
No, he has.
He's always been a good announcer.
But, you know, once you wear the blue and the silver, you know, you never know.
I know.
But, so the thing is that he's absolutely right. Now, my second follow-up question to that was, who do you fear in the AFC if we get to the Super Bowl?
Nobody.
I guess the same answer would be the Eagles, but outside of that, for me, it would be.
I would say Buffalo.
I would say Buffalo.
Yes.
And I don't mean to sound.
I don't fear Kansas City. I don't fear Kansas City because they don't have a defense.
I don't mean to sound a little.
Hurts would have a.
Good.
I think Hurts would have a ball with that defense.
I don't mean to sound crass, but. You know, when if we face Buffalo in this playoff,
We
considering
done
what
heard
happened to
obtuse. We done
Hamlin,
heard crass. You guys are studying your
Crass.
Yeah, I
dictionaries.
know.
I love it.
so
I got to go back to school,
Dictionary.
Frank.
I
I need
feel
a,
There
like
it is.
I need
the
a
Bills-
thesaurus. I need a thesaurus, mind you.
I feel like the
Yeah.
Bills are going to play for Hamlin. I feel
yeah,
like
definitely,
that's going to be a real motivator.
Yeah, they're gonna
And
whip some ass. They're gonna whip some ass.
yeah, and so
I believe that.
I'm not trying to
Yeah.
be cold about it, but I think they're really going to be motivated, and I
Yeah.
really fear the Bills coming into the playoffs with motivation.
Real quick, do they play that game in? I know
No.
they're playing tomorrow.
Nope.
No,
You
they
don't think they're gonna
canceled
play
it.
it? They're not
They
gonna make
canceled
it out.
They
No,
can't.
they
They
can't.
can't
It's
cancel it?
official.
Yeah, they canceled it completely.
The
Oh,
league
they did.
owners.
Oh, okay.
And the
The
NFL.
league owners met yesterday.
It's an
They
issue.
haven't come out with the report of what they came to agree on, but league owners called an emergency meeting because usually they don't meet until like the off season. So this was unprecedented. But I want to get into. I have some announcement before we wrap up, but
Oh,
I-
I just want to say I would fear the Bills a little bit in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But let's get there. But that will it's for another day. Let's
So-
handle our business tomorrow and get our predictions.
Sunday against the New York Football Giants. We're gonna go around and get our predictions. I'm gonna start.
Yeah.
I feel like this is gonna be a sweat, and I hope I'm wrong.
Game?
I
You think
feel like
gonna be a
it's gonna.
sweat?
I feel like it's gonna be a sweat.
Not Josh or Keith sweat, but just a
No,
sweat.
no, and not even Montez. But
He said not even Montez.
but I feel like this is going to be the Eagles' game, but I feel like the Giants, because a lot of people are saying, "Oh, well, the Giants are going to play their backup, so the Eagles should be okay." Those guys are playing for their jobs. They're going to play with nothing to lose and everything to gain, and that is a very dangerous animal when you're talking about a person's livelihood. I have the Eagles 23, Giants 20. Frank?
Okay, and this is what that terrible game plan has done to us this week. The Eagles are going to win this game easily. Okay, I don't know if I've ever been alive when the Eagles were a 14-point favorite over the Giants.
Over
Ever
the Giants.
in
I
my
know.
lifetime.
I can't recall either. Frank.
Over the Giants.
Ever.
Never in my lifetime have I mean I've seen them double-digit favorites against the Giants, and that was only on like Tuesday till the line started to get bet down by the New York money. But here we are Saturday, and they're a 14-point favorite. You know what that tells
And
me?
Frank, not to
Ain't
cut
nobody
you off, that
playing for
line
you.
came out early. That was an early line from last week.
But it's still there.
I know.
Still there.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So yes, Joe, you're right. There's going to be second and third stringers in that game playing for their life, but they're going to be playing against first stringers because the coaching staff last week blew the chance they had to rest their first stringers. Okay, and that's going to jeopardize the Eagles. It's going to put guys at injury risk because they failed to game plan properly last week. So anybody who gets injured by the Eagles this week, that is on Sirianni's desk. I don't care what anybody says. He put the first team in jeopardy this week. But they're going to play, and they're going to be up 3 scores going into the second half. And if Sirianni is as smart as he acted last week, if they win the coin toss, they take the ball and take a possession away from the Giants in the first quarter, thus getting their starters out of the game before they have any chance to have an effect whatsoever. That would be the smart play, is to win the toss, take the ball, and steal a possession in the first quarter away from the Giants. But he'll go what he always does, and he'll give the Giants the ball, which is stupid. But I think they'll win, and I think it'll be easy. It'll be 30 to 14.
Mm-hmm.
Dame?
I'm with Frank. A couple things. Yeah, if you win the coin toss, take the ball.
Coin toss.
That would be coin
yeah.
toss, not coin toss.
Coin toss. I said coin. Damn. Jesus Christ. Coin. And I
Got
and
your
I was
merge
like,
wicks.
yeah, right. Jesus Christ. Coin toss.
Got your merge wicks there.
No, take the ball, man, and because you have to get the crowd back into the game. What better way? You get Jalen on the field, you drive downfield, you get on the board early, put the crowd in the game, get them all roused up, get them wild up, whatever, and finish out, man, and that's it. So I got us winning tomorrow, 27-17.
Well, it depends on two things tomorrow. I hold my breath for a better outcome by Gannon goes back to the Jonathan Gannon of another old, and it's obvious Jalen Hurts playing tomorrow. If he plays tomorrow, Eagles win, plain and simple. And I think if the Eagles win,
CJ will be back too.
Yeah, that's actually good. That's actually good news for the Eagles on the secondary front. For CJ Gardner-Johnson to come back, and I got the Eagles winning. I don't even think it's going to be a sweat necessarily, but then again, it's the Giants. So I got to go 24-17 Eagles.
24-17. I got you.
All right. So,
did we miss a read? Joe, did we miss a
well,
read?
that's what I'm about to get into now. So if you want to go down and you're going down to the Eagles game tomorrow, check out phillysportstrips.com and go and join their tailgate at the Gatehouse down near the Navy Yard.
Oh, wow.
You want to talk about good food, great time? Go down, purchase your ticket to go down for tailgate prior to Sunday's game and get yourself a good meal, great time with great people. Go to phillysportstrips.com and book today. Not to mention, playoffs are coming. You lock up that 1 seed like Frank was saying, and you can join the phillysportstrips.com people, Vince and all of those people, at the Gatehouse for every playoff game coming up, especially those home games, because we aren't stopping until we get to the Super Bowl. The other announcement I have is, everyone, I hope you join us next week. Next week is such a big week for the Pattison Ave Phanatics. We are celebrating 5 years on the air. We could not have done this without a lot of people, and some of those people will be showing up next week to reunite with this show. I have to thank a lot of different people. Al, for bringing us on to EOP. I have to thank Frank, Dame, Dave, Tom, James, Pat Bernard. I have to thank all the people who have contributed to this show over the years, because without your contributions, this show isn't as entertaining. It's just guys talking and arguing like at a bar at 2:00 in the morning. But
wait, that's not what we were doing?
Well, I guess it depends on your perception. But join us next Saturday. We are going to have a longer show with a lot of guests, including Anthony Gargano, Bob Cooney, The Bro, John Crichton, E-Rock, and much, much more. So please, please join us next Saturday at 9 a.m. Breakfast with the Boys, Pattison Ave Phanatics 5-year anniversary. Nice, and I want to thank everyone today for joining us. I want to thank Frank, Dame, James. You guys killed it. But for James, Frank Finnegan, Damon Salim, Tom Kelly, I am Joe Marks, and we are out. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.